Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is like stepping into a wild, rhythm-fueled playground where the only rule is to keep moving to the beat. You play as Chai, a guy with a dream of being a rock star who accidentally ends up with a robotic arm and the ability to literally feel the music in every fight. Sounds weird? It totally is, but it's the kind of weird that makes you say, hell yeah, let's go. This game isn't just about throwing punches, it's about feeling every hit. The rhythm-based combat keeps you locked into the music as you pull off combos in sync with the beat. It's like someone smashed together a brawler and a rhythm game and somehow it works perfectly. Whether you're beating down enemies or jumping between platforms, staying on tempo makes you feel like a total badass. And if you nail it, you'll be stringing together combos that look and feel crazy smooth. Chai's journey is filled with vibrant energy, the world around you pulses with color, and it's not just the enemies that are rocking out, the entire environment seems to move with the music. You've got arenas lit up like concert stages, enemies attacking in rhythm, and every fight feels like a jam session with chaos and style. It's honestly hard to resist tapping your foot along with the action.
Everything ready?
Electricity is rerouted.
Now, Chai's not your typical tough as nails hero. He's goofy, a bit clumsy, but lovable as hell. The humor in the game really stands out from the way Chai interacts with the quirky crew he meets along the way to the lighthearted tone of the story. It's not trying to be deep or overly serious. It's here to have a good time, and it makes sure you do too. The heart of Hi-Fi Rush is in how it blends rhythm and action. The soundtrack keeps you locked into the groove with high-energy tracks, and the better you sync up with the music, the more stylish and satisfying your attacks become, even if rhythm games aren't usually your thing. This one keeps it accessible while rewarding you for really getting into the flow. Forget realism, this game is all about fun. It's bright, fast-paced, and bursting with personality. Whether you're taking down bosses in rhythm-charged battles or just soaking up the electric vibe of the world, Hi-Fi Rush keeps the adrenaline pumping without ever feeling repetitive. It's a refreshing break from the typical action game, giving you something that's both challenging and wildly entertaining. If you're looking for something different, something that'll make you smile while you smash enemies to the beat, then Hi-Fi Rush is exactly what you need.
This doesn't work out.
Evil West. Evil West is like taking a dive into a wild west where things have seriously gone off the rails, and by that I mean vampires, monsters, and all sorts of supernatural chaos. You step into the boots of Jesse Rentier, a no-nonsense vampire hunter, and your job? Wipe out everything that goes bump in the night with style and a whole lot of firepower. This game doesn't waste time. Right from the jump, it's action-packed, and the combat feels like a mix of old-school brawling and some serious monster-slaying madness. You've got your guns, sure, but Evil West leans heavily in hand-to-hand combat, and damn, does it feel satisfying. Punching, smashing, and electrocuting enemies up close makes every fight feel intense, and chaining it all together with your weapons, you're basically a one-man wrecking crew. The enemies are gnarly too. We're talking everything from bloodthirsty vampires to massive, grotesque beasts that would give any horror fan chills. But don't worry, Jesse's got a few tricks up his sleeve. Between his powerful gauntlet and some wicked-looking gadgets, you've got a toolkit that makes taking down these creatures not just doable, but fun as hell. It's fast, brutal, and it doesn't hold back on the blood and guts. What really makes Evil West stand out, though, is the whole Wild West vibe. You've got this gritty, old-timey Western aesthetic mixed with over-the-top supernatural madness, and somehow it just works. The world feels grimy and lived in, but then you've got this wild twist with monsters lurking in every corner. It's a blend that keeps things fresh. One minute you're in a dusty saloon, the next you're fighting off a horde of undead in some creepy abandoned mine. The game doesn't drown you in lore or slow you down with deep storytelling, it's all about action. But when it does dig into the story, it gives you just enough to make you care about the stakes. It's that perfect balance where the plot pushes you forward, but never gets in the way of the adrenaline-pumping combat. And if you're a fan of co-op, this game's got you covered. Jumping in with a buddy to take down hordes of supernatural enemies together makes the chaos even more fun. There's something incredibly satisfying about teaming up to tear through waves of monsters, especially when the combat feels this damn good. In short, if you want a game that's heavy on action, doesn't take itself too seriously, and lets you beat the living hell out of vampires and monsters with a mix of guns and fists, Evil West is a no-brainer. It's the kind of game where you just sit back, enjoy the carnage, and feel like a total badass while doing it. Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human is one of those games that makes you sit back and really think about what it means to be human. It throws you into a future where androids, machines made to serve humans, are starting to question everything. You play as 3 different characters, each of their stories is intertwined, and how you choose to play really shapes where things go. The choices in this game, they matter big time. One of the coolest things about Detroit is how it makes every decision feel huge. Whether it's a split-second choice in a tense moment or something as simple as how you talk to someone, it all adds up. By the end, you'll look back and realize just how different things could have gone based on what you did. It's crazy how many outcomes there are, and it really makes you want to replay the game just to see how things change.
Look out!
Visually, Detroit is stunning. The futuristic city of Detroit is brought to life with a ton of detail, from the sleek tech to the gritty, run-down neighborhoods. The motion capture and facial animations are so on point that you can see every emotion on the characters' faces, making the heavy moments hit even harder. If you're into games that make you feel like your choices have real weight and you want to dive into a story that's full of heart, tension, and some mind-blowing moments, Detroit Become Human is a game you can't miss. Just be ready for the feels, because this one will hit you hard when you least expect it.
You're just their slave. I said shut up!
People are getting affected all the time. They just do a good job of hiding it.
Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 isn't just a game, it's an emotional experience that sticks with you long after the credits roll. You play as Joel, a hardened survivor in a post-apocalyptic world, trying to make it through a brutal life where every day is a fight for survival. But what makes this game hit hard is the relationship between Joel and Ellie, a young girl he's tasked with escorting across the country. It's not about saving the world, it's about the bond that grows between them in the middle of all the chaos. The world is dark and unforgiving, and damn, it feels like you're always on edge. The infected are terrifying, but sometimes the real threat comes from other survivors who will do whatever it takes to stay alive. The atmosphere is heavy, and the game doesn't shy away from showing just how bleak everything is, but amidst all the violence and tension, there are moments of real warmth between Joel and Ellie that make everything feel human. So their relationship is the heart of the story, and it's honestly what makes the game so unforgettable. The gameplay mixes intense combat with quiet, nerve-wracking exploration. Supplies are scarce, and you've got to be smart about how you approach each encounter. Sometimes sneaking past enemies is your best option because going in guns blazing is usually a quick way to get killed. The combat feels gritty and real. Every hit, every shot, it all feels like it matters. And when you're fighting for your life, the tension is off the charts. Visually, the remastered version of The Last of Us looks stunning. The environments are detailed and the post-apocalyptic world feels both haunting and strangely beautiful. Overgrown cities, abandoned buildings, everything looks like the world has moved on and nature is reclaiming what's left. The facial animations, especially with Joel and Ellie, make every emotional beat hit even harder. You can see every ounce of pain, fear, and hope in their expressions. If you're into story-driven games that dig deep into human emotions, The Last of Us Part 1 is a must-play. It's a roller coaster of heartbreak, tension, and hope, wrapped up in one of the most memorable stories in gaming. Just be ready for a heavy ride because this game doesn't pull any punches. Plague Tale Requiem. If you're looking for a linear game that's gonna mess with your emotions and keep you on the edge of your seat, A Plague Tale Requiem is exactly what you need. This game is a direct follow-up to A Plague Tale Innocence, and it amps up everything: the stakes, the action, the emotional weight. It's a wild, heartbreaking journey that'll have you saying damn more than once. You follow Amisha and her little brother Hugo as they try to survive in a world that seems hell-bent on crushing them. And when I say crushing, I mean it. The game takes place in a brutal, plague-ridden medieval world where death and devastation are around every corner. The story is dark as hell, but it's also deeply emotional. You'll be pulling for these characters, especially Hugo, who's dealing with some serious supernatural stuff. The gameplay focuses a lot on stealth, but this time around, Amisha is way more capable. She's not just sneaking past enemies, she's fighting back, and it feels so damn satisfying when you outsmart an enemy or take down a heavily armored soldier with a well-placed shot. Plus, the rat swarms are back, and they're even more terrifying. The way the game uses them as both a threat and a tool is genius. Visually, Requiem is stunning. Every location you visit is dripping with atmosphere, whether you're sneaking through dark, rat-infested tunnels or standing in the middle of a gorgeous sunlit field. The contrast between beauty and horror in this game is wild. But what really sets A Plague Tale Requiem apart is its story. It's heavy, and it doesn't pull punches, but that's what makes it so damn good. If you're into linear games that deliver a powerful narrative with intense gameplay and stunning visuals, this one's a must-play. Just be ready to get hit in the feels hard.
No! We're not seriously flying into that.
You say the weather patterns have set.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those games that catches you off guard in the best possible way. If you're thinking it's just another superhero game, think again. This one delivers a linear story-driven experience that's packed with heart, humor, and some genuinely epic moments. And honestly, it nails the Guardians vibe perfectly. You play as Star-Lord, but you're not flying solo here. The whole team, Rocket, Groot, Gamora, and Drax, are right there with you the entire time, throwing out banter, jokes, and even some surprisingly deep moments.
Shoot first, questions later!
Drop him, Gamora!
The writing here? Top-notch. It feels like you're in a Guardians movie with all the sarcasm, bickering, and hilarious one-liners you'd expect. But it's not just all fun and games, there are some serious emotional moments that hit you out of nowhere.
Well, Rocket's definitely scarier on the inside.
I also vote for the creepy little beast.
The gameplay is solid too. It's action-packed, and while you're controlling Star-Lord, you're also constantly giving commands to the rest of the team, making you feel like the real leader of this ragtag bunch of heroes. The combat is fast, chaotic, and damn satisfying when you pull off team combos. Plus, the way the game integrates the soundtrack into big action scenes, it's so damn good. You'll be blasting through enemies to the sound of 80s classics like Take On Me or Don't Fear the Reaper. And it's honestly perfect. Visually, Guardians of the Galaxy is stunning. The environments are colorful, weird, and exactly what you'd expect from a cosmic adventure with the Guardians. You're traveling to different planets, fighting strange alien creatures, and navigating through some beautifully designed levels. Every new place you visit feels fresh and exciting, keeping you locked into the story. But where this game truly shines is its characters and story. The bond between the Guardians grows as you progress, and you really start to feel like you're part of this dysfunctional family. The dialogue choices give you some control over how Star-Lord interacts with the group, and while the game is linear, these choices keep things engaging and make the story feel personal. If you're looking for a linear game with a killer story, hilarious characters, and some truly epic action sequences, Guardians of the Galaxy is a must-play. It's not just about saving the galaxy, it's about the wild, heartwarming journey you take with your team along the way. Control. Control isn't just a game, it's an experience that gets under your skin. You're Jesse Faden walking into the Federal Bureau of Control, which is probably the weirdest government building you'll ever see. Nothing here plays by the rules, and from the moment you step inside, you realize you're in for something completely different. It's like stepping into a nightmare where reality bends, twists, and sometimes straight up breaks apart. The gameplay feels wild because you're not just fighting enemies, you're using the world itself as a weapon, throwing chunks of the environment, levitating or hurling debris at enemies gives you this strange power trip, and it doesn't get old. It's not about just shooting bullets either. Jesse's service weapon is no ordinary gun that can shift and transform, adding another layer of strategy to every fight. 1 minute you're gunning down possessed agents, the next you're dodging floating furniture. It's chaos, but in the most satisfying way. The real standout in Control is its atmosphere. The FBC is cold, strange, and unsettling, but it's also fascinating. You're constantly finding weird files, hearing cryptic messages, and dealing with objects of power that have completely bizarre abilities like a haunted floppy disk that gives you telekinesis. Every corner of this place holds some new secret, and unraveling it feels like you're diving into a world that's way bigger and darker than you thought. But it's the story that really pulls you in. Jesse's looking for her brother, but as you dig deeper, you realize that her search is wrapped up in all kinds of supernatural madness. You're not just uncovering the truth about Jesse's past, you're piecing together the dark, twisted history of the Bureau itself. It's one of those stories that doesn't give you all the answers up front, it makes you work for it, and that mystery is what keeps you hooked. Control is a perfect blend of action, mystery, and the supernatural. It's strange, unsettling, and makes you question everything happening around you. If you're into mind-bending narratives and combat that's as much about creativity as it is about skill, Control is an absolute must-play. Just get ready to have your reality seriously warped. Quantum Break. Quantum Break is one of those games that plays with your head in the best way possible. It's not just about running and gunning, it's about manipulating time itself, and that changes everything. You play as Jack Joyce, a guy who basically gets time-bending superpowers after a lab experiment goes wrong. From there, things spiral into a chaotic mix of intense action, insane time powers, and some deep sci-fi storytelling. What sets Quantum Break apart is how it blends two worlds, the fast-paced gameplay and a live-action TV show. Yep, you heard that right. After major plot points, the game switches to live-action episodes where you see how your choices play out. It's a wild idea, and it actually works, keeping you glued to both the gameplay and the story. It makes the whole experience feel more cinematic, like you're right in the middle of this massive time-bending thriller. The real fun is in Jack's powers. Stopping time, dodging bullets in a flash, and freezing enemies in place gives the combat this crazy dynamic. You're not just shooting bad guys, you're outmaneuvering them in ways that feel impossible in any other game. It's like you're a superhero, but instead of super strength, you control time itself. And the visuals that go along with it, insane. Watching time fracture around you while buildings crumble and freeze mid-collapse never gets old. The story is classic Remedy, deep, twisting, and filled with more than a few what the hell just happened moments. It dives into the consequences of messing with time and how small changes can have massive effects. Plus, the way the game handles player choices means that your decisions actually matter. You can change how the story unfolds, and that's a big deal when everything's falling apart around you. Quantum Break is also a visual stunner. The time effects, the environmental destruction, and the characters themselves all look fantastic. And while the live action episodes might sound weird at first, they actually add to the immersion, making you feel like you're not just playing a game but living through an intense sci-fi drama. If you're into games that blend storytelling with unique gameplay mechanics, Quantum Break is a must-play. It's bold, it's different, and it does things with time travel that will leave you scratching your head in a good way. And let's be real, who wouldn't want to mess with time?
Some kind of shield! We're gonna...
Ryse Son of Rome. Ryse Son of Rome is one of those games that feels like you're playing through an epic movie about ancient Rome, just with way more brutal combat. You step into the sandals of Marius Titus, a Roman soldier who's out for revenge after his family is brutally murdered. And let me tell you, this game does not hold back. From the very first battle, you're in the middle of massive bloody warfare, and it's glorious in that raw, gritty way only a Roman battlefield can be. The combat in Ryse is all about timing and precision. It's not a hack and slash. You've got to be smart about when to block, when to strike, and when to finish off enemies in these cinematic, brutal execution moves. It's violent, sure, but in a way that really captures the brutality of the Roman era. Every swing of your sword feels heavy, and the executions, they're seriously satisfying. It's like playing through one of those old school gladiator movies, but you're in control of every blow. Visually, Ryse is stunning. The way the game brings ancient Rome to life is insane. From the grand architecture of the city to the grimy, bloody battlefields, everything looks sharp. You feel like you're right there, marching through the mud with your fellow soldiers, surrounded by massive structures and historical details that make the world feel alive. But the real core of Ryse is its story. It's a classic tale of revenge, loyalty, and honor, all wrapped up in the grandeur of Rome's military machine. Marius isn't just a mindless warrior, he's a character driven by purpose. And that makes his journey through betrayal and war hit harder. The story might be linear, but it's tight and focused, driving you forward without any filler. If you're a fan of ancient Rome or just love a good action-packed, story-driven experience, Ryse Son of Rome is a must-play. It's brutal, beautiful, and gives you that feeling of leading a legion into battle, one perfectly timed sword swing at a time. Just be ready for some seriously epic moments and a whole lot of blood. Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End is pure adventure from start to finish. Honestly, it feels like you're playing through the best action movie Hollywood hasn't made yet. You step back into the shoes of Nathan Drake, the treasure hunter we all know and love, and this time, the stakes are personal. It's not just about finding lost cities or ancient relics anymore, it's about family, legacy, and whether Nate can leave his dangerous life behind for good. Spoiler, things get complicated real quick.
Faster! Stop arguing! Watch out!
What makes Uncharted 4 stand out is how it blends jaw-dropping action with a genuinely heartfelt story. Nate's relationship with his brother Sam drives the plot, and you can feel the weight of their history in every interaction. The game digs deep into Nate's past, showing a side of him we haven't really seen before, which gives the whole adventure a more personal, emotional touch. You're not just hunting treasure, you're dealing with family drama, loyalty, and some tough choices. Of course, the action is still as over the top as ever. You'll be scaling cliffs, swinging from ropes, and getting into some of the wildest shootouts imaginable. 1 minute you're dodging gunfire on a motorcycle, the next you're leaping across collapsing bridges. It's non-stop adrenaline, and Naughty Dog knows exactly how to keep you on the edge of your seat. The set pieces are crazy, and just when you think things can't get more intense, they do. Visually, Uncharted 4 is stunning. Every location, whether you're exploring lush jungles, ancient ruins, or city rooftops, looks ridiculously detailed. The game is filled with moments where you just want to stop and take it all in, if you can find a second to breathe between all the action, that is. And the characters? The facial animations and voice acting are top tier, which makes every conversation feel real and grounded, even when things are blowing up around you. The gameplay mixes the series' iconic platforming with some solid gunplay and puzzle solving, but what really shines is the variety. Whether you're sneaking through enemy camps, solving ancient mysteries, or getting into high-speed chases, the game never lets things get repetitive. And let's not forget the hand-to-hand combat. It's simple, but damn does it feel satisfying when you pull off a perfectly timed punch. If you love adventure games or just want to experience a story that hits hard with both action and emotion, Uncharted 4 is an absolute must-play. It's the kind of game that wraps up Nate's story in a way that feels earned, like a true finale to one of gaming's best series. And if you've been with Nate since the beginning, this game is gonna hit you right in the feels.
Have fun.
I will. Gracias.
Gotta find some clue about it.
Murdered sole suspect. Murdered Soul Suspect is one of those games that feels totally different from anything else out there. You're not just playing a detective, you're playing a dead detective. Yeah, you heard that right. You're Ronan O'Connor, a cop who gets killed right at the start of the game, and now you're a ghost trying to solve your own murder. It's a crazy premise, and it pulls you in right away.
Keep going. Mess with this.
The whole vibe of the game is eerie as hell. You're wandering through Salem, Massachusetts, which is packed with haunted houses, creepy alleys, and plenty of supernatural weirdness. As a ghost, you can phase through walls, possess people to read their thoughts, and interact with objects to gather clues. It's all about piecing together what happened to you, and the way the game mixes classic detective work with the paranormal is super unique. What makes Murdered Soul Suspect stand out is how different it feels from your usual action-packed games. There's no combat after all, you're already dead. Instead, it's all about investigation. You're collecting evidence, solving puzzles, and slowly unraveling a web of secrets that go way deeper than just your murder. It's more about atmosphere and storytelling than fast-paced action, but that's what makes it so intriguing. And don't get me wrong, the story is solid. It's a classic whodunit, but with a supernatural twist. You're not just dealing with your own death, you're uncovering a string of murders in Salem, all tied to some dark, twisted history. The narrative keeps you guessing, and as you piece together the clues, you start seeing how everything connects. It's the kind of game where every new discovery feels important, and you'll want to dig into every corner of the map to uncover more.
I swear this place is haunted.
The world of Murdered is filled with little ghostly side stories too. You'll encounter other lost souls who need help moving on, and these side missions give the game some extra depth. Helping them out isn't just rewarding, it also adds to the overall atmosphere. Salem feels like a town haunted by its past, and you're right in the middle of it. Murdered Soul Suspect might not be your typical action-heavy game, but if you're into mysteries, ghosts, and solving puzzles, it's absolutely worth checking out. It's a slower, more thoughtful experience that's perfect for anyone who loves a good detective story with a spooky twist.
He's a wanted cop killer now. You can shoot him on sight.
Sekiro. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is an absolute beast of a game. It's the kind of game that doesn't just challenge you, it straight up humbles you. This one's from Software, the same folks behind Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but instead of knights and monsters, you're thrown into this intense, brutal world of samurai and shinobi. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride. You play as the wolf, a shinobi out for revenge, and the story is pretty straightforward. At first you've got a mission, and you'll cut through anyone who stands in your way. But as you dig deeper, things get a lot more complicated. The world is filled with mystical elements, crazy powerful enemies, and a lot of dark, emotional moments. You're not just swinging a sword, you're wrapped up in this fight for honor, loyalty, and survival. Now, let's talk about the combat, because damn, it's tough as hell. Unlike Dark Souls, where you can hide behind a shield or roll your way out of trouble, Sekiro's all about facing your enemies head on. It's fast, it's aggressive, and the timing has to be perfect. The game's posture system is brutal. You're not just chipping away at health bars, you've got to break your opponent's guard, which means you have to parry, block, and strike at the exact right moments. It's tough, but when you nail it, it feels insanely satisfying. One thing that makes Sekiro stand out is how focused it is. There's no endless weapon or armor upgrading like in other From Software games. Instead, it's all about mastering your one weapon, your katana, and learning how to use it to take down some of the most challenging bosses in gaming. And those bosses? They're on a whole other level. Each one feels like a test of everything you've learned up to that point, and beating them is a serious rush. The story is more subtle than most games. You're not bombarded with cutscenes or dialogue. Instead, you pick up pieces of the lore as you go, and it adds a nice layer of mystery to everything. And don't get me started on the stealth mechanics. When you're not in a brutal sword fight, you can sneak through areas, picking off enemies like a true shinobi. It's a great change of pace and gives you that little breather between the intense combat. If you're into tough as nails action games that reward skill and patience, Sekiro is a must play. It's tough, but it's fair. And the feeling of finally taking down a boss after hours of trying, it's unmatched. Just be ready to die a lot. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Red Faction Guirrilla. If you love chaotic destruction and freedom to go wild, Red Faction Guirrilla is an underrated gem you absolutely need to try. Released in 2009, this open world game does something that few games even attempt. It lets you destroy literally everything. Set on Mars, you play as Alec Mason, a miner turned rebel fighting against the oppressive Earth Defense Force EDF. The story is straightforward, but the real star here is the gameplay. Thanks to the game's Geomod 2.0 engine, every building, structure, and piece of the environment is fully destructible. Want to bring down an EDF base with a few well-placed charges? Go for it. Smash through walls with a sledgehammer? Be my guest. The sheer freedom to level an entire settlement is ridiculously fun and never gets old. The open world Mars setting is gritty and industrial, with massive red deserts and futuristic mining facilities that give the game a unique vibe. While the map isn't as densely packed as modern open world titles, the freedom to approach objectives however you like, whether it's stealth, explosives, or vehicular chaos, makes every mission feel fresh. And let's talk vehicles. From trucks to tanks, you can commandeer a range of machines to wreak havoc. Plus, multiplayer modes with their own destruction mechanics give the game even more replayability. Whether you're a fan of open world mayhem or just love blowing stuff up, Red Faction Guirrilla is a must-play. It's pure, underrated chaos that still holds up today. Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs is one of those open world games that didn't get the recognition it deserved. Released in 2014, it introduced a fresh twist to the genre by putting technology and hacking at the center of its gameplay. While the sequels refined the formula, the original still stands out for its unique atmosphere and creative approach to problem solving. Set in a moody, near-futuristic Chicago, you step into the shoes of Aiden Pierce, a vigilante hacker on a mission for revenge after a tragedy involving his family. The story has a dark, personal tone, and while Aiden might not be the most charismatic lead, his journey feels grounded in the gritty, morally ambiguous world he inhabits. The star of the show is the city itself. Chicago in Watch Dogs is detailed and alive, with NPCs going about their day, weather effects that add atmosphere, rainy nights are especially stunning, and a sense of interactivity that few open world games achieve. What sets it apart, though, is how you interact with this world. Through your hacking abilities, you can control the entire city. Traffic lights, bridges, security cameras, and even personal data from NPCs are all tools at your disposal. This gives you an incredible amount of freedom. Escaping the police? Hack a traffic light to cause a massive pileup or raise a bridge to block their path. Need to infiltrate a heavily guarded compound? Use cameras to scout ahead, hack gates to create distractions or trigger explosions remotely. The game constantly rewards creativity, and no two missions play out the same way. Combat and stealth are solid, with plenty of gadgets and weapons to mix things up. You can go loud with guns blazing or stay in the shadows, using your hacking tools to outsmart enemies. The game also has a robust skill tree, letting you improve Aiden's hacking abilities, driving, and combat skills as you progress. While Watch Dogs didn't quite live up to its sky-high pre-release hype, it's an ambitious and underrated gem. The combination of hacking, stealth, and open-world exploration makes it a unique experience, and its version of Chicago is one of the most atmospheric settings in the genre. If you skipped it back in the day, it's absolutely worth a second look now. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance is the ultimate underdog story, not just in its narrative but as a game. Released in 2018, this open-world RPG from Warhorse Studios is a brutally realistic take on medieval life, setting itself apart with its attention to historical accuracy and grounded gameplay. If you're tired of magical dragons and over-the-top heroics, this game's raw, gritty realism might be exactly what you're looking for. Set in the kingdom of Bohemia, modern-day Czech Republic in 1403, you play as Henry, the son of a blacksmith who's thrust into chaos after his village is attacked. Unlike most RPGs, Henry isn't a chosen one or a battle-hardened warrior. He's just a regular guy trying to survive, which makes his journey all the more relatable. You'll learn skills like sword fighting, archery, and even reading as you progress, making Henry's evolution feel earned. The game's open world is absolutely stunning, filled with rolling countryside, dense forests, and bustling medieval towns. Everything is meticulously researched, from the architecture to the clothing, immersing you in the era like few games can. NPCs have daily routines, giving the world a lived-in feel, and you'll spend plenty of time exploring, trading, and interacting with its richly detailed environment. Combat is one of the standout features, and it's unlike anything you've played before. It's slow, deliberate, and challenging with a focus on timing and precision. Sword fights feel intense and weighty, requiring practice to master. You can't just button mash your way to victory. Every swing matters. And then there's the story, which is full of political intrigue, betrayal, and personal stakes. While the main quest is gripping, the side quests are just as engaging, often offering moral dilemmas that don't have a clear right or wrong answer. Whether you're helping a wayward priest at a drunken feast or investigating a murder in a small village, the writing makes every interaction feel meaningful. What really makes Kingdom Come special is how uncompromising it is. It doesn't hold your hand. You'll need to eat, sleep, and keep your gear in good condition. Fail to prepare, and you'll pay the price. But that's part of the charm. It feels authentic, challenging, and rewarding when you succeed. For anyone looking for a unique, immersive open-world experience with a focus on realism, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a must-play. It's an underrated gem that deserves way more love.
A man who never eats pork buns is never a whole man.
I'll take some,
You
thanks.
look like you could use a
Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs is one of the most underrated open-world games ever made. Released in 2012, it's a gritty and stylish take on the crime genre, blending the intensity of an undercover cop story with a vibrant and bustling version of Hong Kong. I think Grand Theft Auto meets Yakuza, but with its own unique flavor. You play as Wei Shen, an undercover cop infiltrating the Sun on Yi, a dangerous triad organization. The story is gripping, packed with loyalty tests, betrayals, and moments where the line between cop and criminal blurs. Wei's journey is not only intense, but also surprisingly emotional, making you care about the characters and the stakes involved. Hong Kong itself is a star of the game. The city feels alive, from the neon-lit night markets to the rainy, crowded streets buzzing with chatter and activity. Exploring the world is a joy, with tons of side activities like street races, karaoke, and martial arts fight clubs to keep you busy. The gameplay stands out with its focus on hand-to-hand combat. Inspired by martial arts movies, the fighting system is fluid and satisfying, with counters, combos, and brutal environmental takedowns. Slamming an enemy into an air conditioning unit or tossing them into a fish tank never gets old. Gunplay and car chases add variety, but it's the melee combat that steals the show. Customization is also a blast. You can tweak ways, look with different outfits that offer gameplay bonuses, and the skill trees let you develop as cop or triad abilities depending on your playstyle. The balance between playing as a law enforcer and a criminal adds depth to every decision. Sleeping Dogs doesn't just deliver an engaging main story, its side quests and world building pull you deeper into Hong Kong's underbelly. Whether you're busting drug rings, helping civilians, or betting on cockfights, there's always something to do. This game flew under the radar for many, but it's a hidden gem that deserves a second chance. If you're into open world action with a fantastic story and unforgettable combat, Sleeping Dogs is a must-play. Days Gone. Days Gone is an open-world game that didn't get the love it deserved when it launched in 2019, but it's quietly built a strong reputation as a hidden gem. Blending survival mechanics, a heartfelt story, and hordes of terrifying freakers, this post-apocalyptic adventure is way better than you've heard. You play as Deacon St. John, a drifter and bounty hunter navigating a world overrun by infected creatures known as freakers. The story starts slow but grows into an emotional journey about loss, survival, and hope. Deacon's relationship with his wife Sarah and best friend Boozer drives much of the narrative, grounding the game in personal stakes that hit surprisingly hard. The open world is set in the rugged, post-apocalyptic Pacific Northwest, and it's stunning. From dense forests and abandoned towns to snowy mountains and vast highways, every corner of the map feels alive and hostile. The dynamic weather and day-night cycle don't just look good, they directly affect gameplay. Freakers are more aggressive at night, and storms can make travel and combat even more intense. The gameplay is where Days Gone really shines. Your motorcycle isn't just a vehicle, it's your lifeline. You'll need to keep it fueled, repaired, and upgraded as you use it to traverse the sprawling map. The combat is a mix of stealth, melee, and gunplay, but the real showstoppers are the freaker hordes. Facing hundreds of infected creatures at once is chaotic, terrifying, and incredibly satisfying when you finally take them down. Crafting and resource management add a layer of strategy, forcing you to scavenge for supplies and make every bullet count. Whether you're setting traps for a horde or sneaking through an abandoned sawmill to avoid detection, the tension is always high. Beyond the main story, the world is packed with side activities, clearing infestations, hunting bounties, and uncovering hidden lore. These tasks are more than filler, they build out the world and make you feel like a part of it. Days Gone may not have reinvented the genre, but it's a deeply immersive experience with fantastic gameplay and a story that sticks with you. If you missed it at launch, now's the time to give it a shot. It's one of the most underrated open world games out there. Just Cause 3. Just Cause 3 is an open world game that's all about chaos, explosions, and having as much fun as possible. Released in 2015, it doesn't try to be overly serious, it just hands you a bunch of tools, throws you into a massive Mediterranean-inspired island, and says, go wild. You play as Rico Rodriguez, a one-man wrecking crew on a mission to liberate Medici, his homeland, from the grip of a ruthless dictator. The story is simple, but let's be real, that's not why you're here. You're here to blow stuff up in the most ridiculous ways possible. The map is enormous, filled with sprawling beaches, lush forests, and picturesque towns, but what sets Medici apart is its verticality. Rico's signature grappling hook and parachute are back, and Just Cause 3 takes it up a notch by adding the wingsuit. Flying across the map, chaining grapples to slingshot yourself forward, and using the parachute to hover above enemies never gets old. And the destruction? It's glorious. Every mission, every outpost, every enemy base is an excuse to let loose. You can topple massive fuel tanks, cause chain explosions, and even tether objects together to create your own hilarious physics experiments. Want to attach a helicopter to a gas canister and watch it spin out of control? Go for it. Combat is just as over the top as the rest of the game. Rico has access to a ridiculous arsenal of weapons, vehicles, and gadgets. Tanks, fighter jets, and boats are all at your disposal, and the sandbox-style gameplay lets you approach objectives however you want. The creativity is endless. While the missions can feel a bit repetitive, the sheer fun of experimenting with the tools the game gives you more than makes up for it. Just Cause 3 is less about precision and more about freedom to destroy, explore, and create chaos however you like. If you're looking for an open world game that doesn't take itself seriously and delivers non-stop action and laughs, Just Cause 3 is the perfect pick. It's an underrated gem that lets you unleash your inner mayhem artist. The Saboteur. The Saboteur is one of the most unique open world games you've probably never played. Released in 2009, it takes the open world formula and drops it into Nazi-occupied France during World War II, blending stealth, action, and style in a way that makes it stand out. You play as Sean Devlin, an Irish race car driver turned resistance fighter. His mission? Take revenge on the Nazis who wronged him and help liberate Paris from their grip. The story is a mix of personal stakes and larger-than-life rebellion, with Sean's sharp wit and brash personality keeping things entertaining. The game's most striking feature is its art style. Areas under heavy Nazi control are shown in black and white, with splashes of red for Nazi symbols and flags. As you take back control through sabotage and resistance efforts, color returns to those areas, symbolizing hope and freedom. It's a bold, creative choice that makes every victory feel impactful. The gameplay is a mix of stealth, action, and exploration. You'll scale buildings like a guerrilla Assassin's Creed, plant bombs on key targets, and sneak through Nazi outposts. Or, if subtlety isn't your thing, you can go in guns blazing with a full arsenal. The freedom to approach missions your way keeps things fresh. Paris is a stunning open world to explore, with its iconic landmarks, winding streets, and countryside offering a mix of urban and rural combat zones. There's plenty to do outside of the main missions, from taking out Nazi propaganda towers to racing cars across the map. The game's tone strikes a balance between serious and playful, with Sean's charm and the vibrant side characters keeping things light even in the midst of heavy subject matter, and the jazzy soundtrack adds a layer of cool that fits the game's atmosphere perfectly. The Saboteur may not have received the attention it deserved at launch, but it's a hidden gem that offers a fresh take on the open world genre. If you're looking for something different, stylish, and packed with rebellion-fueled fun, this one's worth tracking down.
They put it in a box. I want that box here.
Saint? Oh, Saint! Come and see! Come and see, oh, Saint!
Mad Max. Mad Max is one of the most criminally underrated open world games out there. Released in 2015, it's a gritty, action-packed adventure that captures the chaos and desolation of the wasteland while offering some of the most satisfying vehicular combat in gaming. You play as Max Rockatansky, the iconic lone wanderer, on a mission to build the ultimate car, the magnum opus, and survive in a brutal, post-apocalyptic world ruled by warlords and scavengers. The story is straightforward but compelling, serving as a perfect excuse to dive into the world of scrap, sand, and survival. The wasteland is the real star of the game. It's barren yet beautiful, with sprawling deserts, jagged cliffs, and massive storms that can swallow you whole. Despite the harsh environment, there's a surprising amount of variety, with locations like abandoned refineries, hidden caves, and eerie sunken ruins to explore. The gameplay is a mix of brutal melee combat, open world exploration, and, most notably, vehicular mayhem. The car combat is where Mad Max truly shines. Upgrading the magnum opus with spikes, flamethrowers, harpoons, and nitro boosts turns every encounter into a high-octane spectacle. Chasing down convoys or ripping enemies out of their vehicles with a harpoon never gets old. On foot, Max's combat is raw and punishing, with a system reminiscent of the Arkham games, but with a heavier, more visceral feel. Every punch, counter, and ground slam feels impactful, especially when you're up against war boys screaming for blood. The progression system is deeply rewarding. You'll scavenge for scrap to upgrade both Max and the magnum opus, turning them into unstoppable forces. The world is packed with side activities, from clearing out enemy camps to taking down massive convoys, and everything you do feeds back into making your arsenal stronger. While some criticize the game for its repetitive mission structure, it's the atmosphere and mechanics that steal the show. Few games nail the tone and style of their source material as well as Mad Max does. From the roaring engines to the dust storms that force you to fight for survival, it feels like a love letter to George Miller's iconic universe. If you're a fan of open world games or the Mad Max franchise, this one's a must-play. It's gritty, chaotic, and one of the most immersive wasteland experiences gaming has to offer.
Stop, Ushio, you piece of shit!
Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a bold reinvention of the Yakuza series, blending its signature over-the-top drama and quirky humor with a fresh, turn-based RPG combat system. Released in 2020, it's an open-world gem that offers something new while staying true to the series' charm. This time, you play as Ichiban Kasuga, a low-ranking Yakuza who takes the fall for his boss only to be betrayed after serving 18 years in prison. What follows is an emotional and often hilarious journey as Ichiban tries to rebuild his life and uncover the truth behind his betrayal. Unlike the stoic Kazuma Kiryu, Ichiban is a lovable underdog who wears his heart on his sleeve, making him an instantly relatable protagonist. The game's setting, Yokohama, is a vibrant and sprawling city filled with things to do. From karaoke bars and batting cages to pachinko parlors and hilarious side quests, the world is packed with activities that let you take a break from the main story. You can even run a business empire or race go-karts around the streets. Combat is where Like a Dragon shakes things up. The shift to turn-based RPG mechanics might seem risky, but it works brilliantly. Ichiban imagines his battles as if they were in a classic JRPG, complete with wild enemy designs and ridiculous moves. Your party members, ranging from an ex-cop to a homeless man with flaming breath, add personality and unique skills to every fight. The job system takes the RPG feel even further. You can assign your party roles like chef, musician, or breakdancer, each with its own abilities and wacky animations. The variety keeps battles fresh and lets you experiment with different strategies. The story is classic Yakuza, a mix of heartfelt drama, intense action, and absurd comedy. One moment you're uncovering a political conspiracy, and the next you're helping someone find a lost crawfish. It's this balance of serious and silly that makes the game so special. Yakuza Like a Dragon is a perfect entry point for newcomers and a refreshing change for longtime fans. Its unique combat, engaging story, and lively open world make it one of the most underrated RPG-style open world games out there.
Hey there, Ichi!
Here's the first line of defense.
Biomutant. Biomutant is an open-world RPG that's as weird and wonderful as its name suggests. Released in 2021, it combines a vibrant post-apocalyptic world, kung fu action, and quirky humor into a game that's bursting with personality. While it flew under the radar for many, it's a game worth exploring if you're into unique open-world experiences. You play as a customizable mutant creature navigating a world that's been ravaged by environmental collapse. The narrative revolves around rebuilding this fractured world, choosing whether to bring peace or chaos as you face the World Eater's massive creatures threatening the fragile ecosystem. Your choices shape the story and even how factions perceive you, adding weight to your decisions. The game's open world is gorgeous and brimming with creativity. From lush forests and toxic wastelands to icy mountains and sunken cities, every area feels distinct. The world is packed with hidden treasures, puzzles, and weird, inventive landmarks that encourage exploration. It's not the biggest map, but it's dense with things to do. Combat is where Biomutant shines. It's a hybrid of martial arts, gunplay, and mutant powers, letting you chain together combos and unleash devastating special attacks. Want to craft a flamethrower out of scrap? Go for it. Prefer smashing enemies with a giant, spiky club? That works too. The flexibility in how you approach combat makes every encounter fun. Crafting is another highlight. You can build weapons, gear, and gadgets from the random junk you find in the world, leading to some wild and hilarious combinations. Whether it's a rifle made of plumbing parts or a helmet made from an old toaster, the system encourages experimentation. While Biomutant faced criticism for its uneven pacing and overly chatty narrator, its charm lies in its creativity. The game doesn't take itself too seriously, and its quirky tone and colorful world make it feel like a breath of fresh air in a genre that often leans into realism. If you're looking for an open world game that's a little different with fast-paced combat, a vibrant world, and a ton of customization, Biomutant is worth giving a shot. It's not perfect, but it's packed with heart and ideas that set it apart.
That doesn't sound good. Out-of-date's forebodings are justified. The jumbo puff needs to be taken care of.
Nier Automata. Nier Automata isn't just an open world game, it's an unforgettable experience that blends action, storytelling, and existential questions into something truly unique. Released in 2017, this cult hit from Platinum Games and Yoko Taro has gained a massive following, but it still doesn't get enough credit as an open world gem. You play as 2B, a stoic android soldier, alongside her companion 9S, as they fight to reclaim Earth from a race of alien machines. What starts as a straightforward post-apocalyptic war evolves into a deeply emotional, thought-provoking narrative about humanity, identity, and purpose. The story unfolds across multiple playthroughs, with each one adding new layers and perspectives, making it a game that rewards patience and curiosity. The open world is a mix of ruined cities, barren deserts, lush forests, and haunting industrial zones. While not the largest map, it's packed with atmosphere and small details that make it feel alive. Exploring these areas is rewarding, with hidden lore, side quests, and collectibles scattered throughout. Combat is pure Platinum Games magic, fast, fluid, and ridiculously fun. You'll chain together sword slashes, ranged attacks, and flashy dodges in a way that feels effortless but still challenging. The variety of weapons and the ability to customize your skills with plug-in chips make every encounter exciting. What truly sets Nier Automata apart is its willingness to break conventions. The game shifts between gameplay styles effortlessly. One moment you're in a high-octane hack and slash battle, the next you're piloting a mech in a bullet hell sequence, and then you're solving puzzles or hacking into enemy systems. It keeps you on your toes and never feels repetitive. Side quests, often overlooked in open world games, are a highlight here. They're packed with meaningful stories that delve into the lives of the androids and machines, often delivering emotional gut punches that rival the main narrative. These aren't just filler, they're essential to understanding the game's themes. The soundtrack is another standout. The hauntingly beautiful music, combined with the game's minimalist yet powerful visuals, creates an atmosphere that's hard to forget. Nier Automata isn't just a game, it's an experience that stays with you long after the credits roll, and trust me, you'll see those credits more than once. It's an underrated masterpiece that deserves all the praise and then some. The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is a criminally underrated open-world RPG that blends sharp humor, player choice, and a colorful sci-fi setting into a memorable adventure. Released in 2019 by Obsidian Entertainment, the minds behind Fallout New Vegas, it's a smaller, more focused take on the open-world formula that still offers tons of depth and fun. You wake up from cryosleep as the wildcard colonist aboard a lost ship, dropped into a corporate-run galaxy where capitalism has gone completely off the rails. The story is equal parts satire and personal, letting you decide whether to topple the greedy corporations, side with them, or carve out your own chaotic path. Your choices genuinely matter, affecting the outcome of quests, characters' lives, and even entire settlements. The worlds themselves are smaller than massive open-world games, but they're packed with detail and personality. Each planet or settlement offers a unique vibe, from the corporate dystopia of Edgewater to the neon-lit city of Byzantium. Exploration is rewarding, with side quests, secrets, and lore scattered everywhere. Combat feels snappy and versatile, with a mix of gunplay, melee, and abilities like the hilariously over-the-top tactical time dilation, which lets you slow down time to target weak points or pull off stylish kills. The weapons and gear are varied, and you can mod them to suit your playstyle, whether you want to go in guns blazing or sneak through enemy strongholds. What sets The Outer Worlds apart is its humor and writing. The dialogue is sharp, witty, and often laugh-out-loud funny, especially when interacting with quirky NPCs or your misfit companions. Each companion has a distinct personality, backstory, and set of abilities, and their banter during missions adds another layer of charm. The game doesn't overstay its welcome, clocking in at around 20 to 30 hours, but it's packed with replayability thanks to its branching storylines and moral choices. Whether you're persuading enemies to stand down, betraying allies, or sweet-talking your way through corporate bureaucrats, every playthrough feels fresh. If you're a fan of narrative-driven RPGs with strong characters, a vibrant world, and a healthy dose of dark humor, The Outer Worlds is a must-play. It's proof that you don't need a massive map to deliver an unforgettable open-world experience.